how a small-town mechanic took his revenge. On Friday, June 4, 2004, a local welder and small business owner named Marvin Heemeyer smashed through the walls of his own garage with a self-made tank and headed toward the small town of Granby, Colorado. The product of over 18 months of work, Heemeyer's tank was a modified Komatsu D355A bulldozer that was covered in thick armor plating, which he nicknamed the MK tank, or Marv's Komatsu tank. As an experienced welder and former United States Air Force serviceman, he was more than capable of creating this devastating weapon. Concrete, in some places over a foot or 300 millimeters thick, was sandwiched between tool steel to create an effective DIY composite armor. The bulldozer was able to withstand more than 200 rounds of ammunition and stun grenade explosions fired from local and state police forces. Even the SWAT team was forced to walk helplessly behind Heemeyer as he drove his tank through the heart of Granby, destroying numerous businesses along the way, starting with the hated cement factory and then moving on to buildings which included the town hall, library, bank, and local news headquarters. They were all severely damaged by the makeshift tank, and things became so out of hand that the police were forced to use the reverse 911 emergency system to warn residents to leave the area immediately. In all, the destruction of the town lasted over 2 hours and only stopped when Heemeyer accidentally drove his dozer into the basement of a hardware store. But what set Heemeyer off? What caused this 52-year-old automobile muffler repair shop owner to snap and lay waste to his local community? Varying accounts of the infamous incident, which was later coined Killdozer on the internet, offer different takes. Many people consider Marvin Heemeyer a hero, a true American patriot who stood up against the tyranny and bureaucracy he faced by taking matters into his own hands. He has become a symbol of resistance for the little man, who often goes unrepresented in a system that routinely and habitually favors those with money and prestige. People look at his actions with admiration and are quick to point out all the injustices he faced in dealing with the Granby City Council. However, there are others such as Patrick Brower, author of Killdozer, the true story of the Colorado bulldozer rampage, who claim that Heemeyer's actions are truly disturbing and indicative of a twisted mind. Brower was working in Granby at the local news station when the rampage began and distinctly remembers having to flee his workplace as Killdozer barreled towards him. In his eyes, Marvin's woes as a small business owner were in no way unique to him, and his decision to cause $7 million of property damage was selfish and damaging to the other business owners in Granby. Red tape and frustrating back-and-forth conversations with local officials, explains Brower, are a part of every business owner's experiences. But in examining Heemeyer's story, one should ask, how much red tape are we talking about? To begin with, it's important to recount Marvin Heemeyer's history in Granby, Colorado. Originally, he moved to Grand Lake, Colorado in 1992. This is another town roughly 20 minutes away by car from Granby. In the following year, he bought 2 acres of land in Granby to put his mechanical skills to use and operate out of his own automobile muffler repair shop. Marvin had retired from the military and quit a job as a mechanic working for someone else to live the American dream and have his own business. He was able to use his impressive skills as a welder to work on cosmetic repairs to vehicles and grow his small-town shop. Heemeyer enjoyed a reputation as the best welder in the area, and by all accounts, his business was successful. He had purchased the land where his shop was for only $42,000 from the Resolution Trust Corporation and enjoyed steady work. Many describe him as a generous, happy man who was devoted to his friends and cared about his community. Although unmarried, he had a girlfriend and would go snowmobiling and hot tubbing regularly with her and his friend group. Life seemed to be going well for him until 1999, when the Dochev family closed a deal on a plot of land that surrounded his shop. Nestled right off West Meadow Road, Heemeyer's shop was just outside of town and had open land all around it. Marvin used an easement road through his unclaimed land to get to work every day, and his shop was only accessible to customers if they used the easement road as well. In anticipation of owning the land someday, Marvin allegedly outbid Cody Dochev years prior to 2000 for the property. Nonetheless, the land was sold to the Jovic family, and a lifelong feud between Cody and Marvin was born. Marvin believed he had been unfairly left in the dark about the sale of the land and petitioned the Granby City Council. He argued that Jovic's decision to build a concrete factory on their property would cut him off from his own business and make it impossible for his customers to reach him. He continued to raise this issue with the council and the Jovics, at one point even buying a D355A bulldozer with his own money to build a new road, but to no avail. After many long talks with the Jovics, Heemeyer was forced to sell the land that his muffler repair shop sat on. Cody and Marvin agreed that the property would be bought for $250,000. However, after negotiations concluded, Marvin increased his asking price to $375,000 and then again to $1 million. This put a lot of strain on an already tumultuous relationship between the two parties, and eventually, all communications came to a halt. In 2001, the Zoning Commission in Granby and the town's trustees officially approved the construction of the cement plant. They did this without consulting Marvin Heemeyer, who became enraged at the news. Marvin and the Jovics had not yet agreed on a price for his property, and now his muffler repair shop was going to be cut off from all access. Neither Heemeyer nor his customers would be able to get to the shop. He appealed the town's decision and dropped roughly $150,000 in attorney fees trying to fight the case. Unfortunately, his efforts were futile, and construction soon began. To add insult to injury, the Granby government fined Marvin $2,500 for keeping junk cars on his property and for not being connected to the sewer line. These junk cars were his business, and his access to the city sewer system had been cut off with the construction of the cement plant. Marvin was trying to work through the avenues he knew, petitioning friends to intercede on his behalf, writing directly to the city council, and offering to build a new road to his muffler shop around the cement plant with his own equipment. But now he was forced to watch as his dream went bust, and there was nothing he could do. All the time, money, and effort he had spent building his business now sat isolated behind the cement plant. He eventually sold the property to a trash company for $400,000 in 2003 and was given 6 months to leave. It was during this time that the bulldozer he had purchased to make a road would be transformed into a building demolisher. Building Killdozer. Working only at night, Heemeyer secretly began to plot his revenge on the town. He used tool steel and sheet metal in addition to concrete to create armor around his bulldozer. No small arms weapon was able to pierce the bulldozer's exterior, which had concrete at some places over a foot in thickness. It is alleged that during the attack, the governor of Colorado, Bill Owens, seriously considered authorizing the National Guard to use either an Apache attack helicopter equipped with a Hellfire missile or a Javelin anti-tank missile to destroy the Killdozer. Heemeyer modified his machine expertly and mounted cameras on the outside of his bulldozer to give him vision while driving. TV screens on the inside of the bulldozer displayed the camera's live feed. The cameras were behind thick, bulletproof glass and had their own compressed air mechanisms to blow off any dust or debris from the lens. Killdozer also came equipped with 3 gun ports fitted for a .22 caliber rifle, a .308 semi-automatic rifle, and a .50 caliber rifle. However, the plating on the bulldozer was so thick that any attempt to fire out of these gun ports would result in a direct hit to the vehicle's armor. Marvin Heemeyer also created over 2 hours of self-recorded audio tapes chronicling his plans to destroy Granby and get revenge. In one quote, he explains, "I was always willing to be reasonable until I had to be unreasonable. Sometimes reasonable men must do unreasonable things." Later, while he was destroying the car and home of the former mayor, the office of a newspaper that had sided against him, and the business of a former city council member, it's easy to imagine what was going through his head. Eventually, Heemeyer's destruction came to an end when his bulldozer got stuck in the basement of the hardware store. Faced with the end, Marvin took his own life with a .357 caliber pistol before he could be arrested. From the second he closed himself in the Killdozer, he had to know that there was no coming out again. He was unable to exit the vehicle once he was inside, as the concrete hatch had no way to be opened. Today, the world is left with his legacy and the repercussions of his actions. Even though the town of Granby, Colorado recovered from the rampage, they're still under the shadow of Marvin Heemeyer. For them, he's an unreasonable lunatic who destroyed many people's livelihoods in a selfish vendetta mission. Although no one was killed in the attack, apart from Heemeyer himself, some people of the town see his decision to drive into occupied buildings as an attempt to kill people. Others argue that he purposefully did not kill anyone, and to say anything else is slander. This leaves us with one question. How should he be remembered? As a crazed, violent lunatic? Or as a fed-up, disenfranchised citizen who took matters into his own hands? Here at Simple History, we've been creating videos for over 10 years, and during that time, we've seen the industry evolve in so many ways. From advancements in production tools to how our audiences consume content, things have changed dramatically. And one of the most exciting advancements is the rise of AI, which is why we're thrilled to introduce today's sponsor, InVideo AI. They've developed a tool that has revolutionized the way videos can be made. With the latest version, InVideo AI version 3, which is launching in just a few weeks, you can create full-length AI-generated videos just by using prompts, and it's a game changer. Whether you're telling a story, crafting something imaginative, or even explaining historical events, InVideo AI makes it incredibly easy. For instance, let's take a step into the future. Imagine creating a short cyberpunk film about a robot who wants to break free from their reality.
In the neon-lit labyrinth of Neo-Tokyo, there existed a robot named Nexus. Born in a dingy back-alley workshop, Nexus was crafted not for greatness, but for menial tasks.
As you can see, InVideo AI doesn't just generate clips, it creates fully realized videos that are ready to share across social platforms. This makes it a standout from other tools like Sora or Runway. And the best part? You can tweak your videos with simple text commands to add or change elements instantly.
Nexus stood atop the skyscraper, knowing his journey was far from over.
If you're eager to try out their current version, you can start today for free and create up to 4 videos. But trust us, once you see the results, upgrading to their paid plan is well worth it. At just $20 a month, you'll remove watermarks and unlock access to millions of royalty-free clips for unlimited video creation. So if you're ready to transform your videos, click the link below and use the code SIMPLEHISTORY50 to double your video generation credits for the first month. A big thanks to InVideo for sponsoring this video.